believe...
Miss Siegewin?
Siegewin?
Don't be nervous. It'll...
Please announce the results of your eval...
As everyone doubtlessly saw, Miss Furina was displaying symptoms of hyperventilation and flushed skin. She was experiencing the adverse effects of exposure to primordial seawater. The extent to which she was affected, it...
Thank you, Miss Siegewin. Lady Furina.
Oh, wait. What did she just say? I didn't get dissolved.
Well, considering your tendency to... However, after extensive discussion, we exchanged... We don't want anyone else to...
Yeah, so out of regard for Furina's life, you secured a low-concentration sample and asked the head nurse to serve as an expert witness. It's a great thing that the direct sample wasn't actually used. Furina could...
I can't believe... Listen to me, everyone. Please don't give me such cold and disdainful look. Think about it. How can you conclusively prove that an Archon... Also, if I was really just a human, why would I dare to... Please, everyone, anyone, just listen to me. I swear, I really am your Archon.
I don't think anything she says at this point will sway anyone.
With all the things that have been said, Paimon doesn't think there's any way left for...
I believe the time for arguments and presentation of evidence has come to an end. If there are no objections, we will move on to the final judgment.
I don't think anything she says at this point will sway anyone who's too stacked against her now.
In my capacity as Chief Justice, I shall now render judgment on Furina's misrepresentation of herself as the Archon of Fontaine. As a human who knowingly deceived her fellow citizens, Furina is... guilty. We shall now turn to the oratrice mécanique d'analyse cardinale. According to the judgment of the oratrice mécanique...
Well, what's wrong? What's the oratrice's verdict?
No, the oratrice also...
Isn't that correct?
However, the exact wording of the verdict is thus: to be punished via the...
That's actually one of the available sentences? I've always thought...
The one and only time the death sentence has been handed out at the court. And it's been given to the very person we've worshipped as the god of justice?
Furina's been sentenced to death by the oratrice? We just wanted to use the trial to show her the...
This outcome is indeed quite strange. According to Fontaine's current definitions of justice, is this sentence really appropriate for the crime?
Yeah! Even Vacher wasn't sentenced to death!
Indeed. But now, the oratrice seems to have deliberately invoked the title of the Hydro Archon.
Excuse me, if I may interrupt. Is the trial still...
Fremine! Huh, you finally made it.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the... So the knave privately arranged for Fremine to
I looked everywhere and finally found it at the bottom of the sea. But has the trial already concluded?
Thank you for your hard work, Mr. Fremine. Please allow me to... Traveler, I believe that you have already seen the other... believe I've now made sense of the Hydro Archon's crime. It has to do with Fontaine's lost history.
Huh? Isn't the Hydro Archon just guilty of deceiving her people? Oh, wait. So when you say Hydro Archon, do you mean the real—
In truth, everything that you've encountered in Fontaine up until this point can be traced back to— However, I'm uncertain as to how much sense they currently make to you.
Okay, let's try to recall the content. The first stone slate describes what you just said. It seems to show the previous Hydro Archon using her divine power, and then the Oceanids turn in. Does that mean that Fontainians are transformed Oceanids? The second stone slate shows Celestia floating in the sky, and the Hydro Archon and her people worshipping it together. But this must be the point when the Hydro Archon and the Fontainians— The third slate shows the Hydro Archon seeking into the sea. That reminds Paimon, didn't we? Well, the fourth slate is the We didn't believe that such a crazy disaster could happen.
We know from the case of the end this.
That doesn't sound quite right. Let's—
Perhaps what is about to take the true sin of the Hydro Archon that Nervilette mentioned, and the original sin cast down on the people of Fontaine by Celeste. It's not as simple as fall. When Navia fell into the sea, her consciousness was the stone. Prophecy from the stone slates, the fort. If we hadn't dealt with it in time,
they'll dissolve into the primordial sea but won't cease to exist. Their essence will flow in the seawater. The Hydro Archon was sentenced to death in court, shocking everyone present. Navia fell into the water inside those ruins, and she nearly dissolved. She was surrounded by the people. The eruption of the primordial sea at the fortress of Meripede was the stone slate's content can— Huh? Oh, Paimon gets it now, but—
Let's hear them.
Incredible. We're...
All Fontainians were original. The evidence for that could— Oh, and according to Navia—
Indeed.
Yeah, and it follows That could also explain why the Oratrice judged the Hydro.
The Hydro Archon's true sin?
And yet, after many hundreds of years, the Hydro Archon's creations have turned around to...
Yeah! So wouldn't it be trying to show the image of the Hydro Archon also falling? In the end, the people will... Did Paimon get all that right?
You've made some keen deductions. I must... However, while you were able to decode all the information when we were at the ruin, now that the slate collection is complete... I believe I should share this truth not only with you, but with all the people of Fontaine as well. Your hypotheses regarding the origin of Fontanians and in the Fontaine of old, the previous Hydro Archon sensed the yearning of her Oceanid familiars for life on land. The Oceanids were enamored with the beauty and romanticism of human beings, and wishing to have those experiences for themselves expressed to the Hydro. However, even though not one to give in, she eventually found a way to create permanent humanoid bodies for her familiars by appropriating the power of this. She poured primordial seawater into the Oceanids' blood vessels, creating... But if Fontanians were to ever come into direct contact with... Of course, the Hydro Archon never received permission from the heavenly principles to create a new human race. And thus, the Hydro Archon and all of her creations came to shoulder the original sin of appropriating the power of the primordial sea. That is the...
That's way too much information for me. Wait, but if that's the truth, we can't let the Hydro Archon be...
This really might be too much information.
Alas, your hypothesis regarding the third and fourth stone slate, a key point of the visual, they have not been dissolved, which implies that the water depicted in this slate is not water. The nation of Fontaine is the nation of Hydro as well. You may also recall not... Therefore, that the people of Fontaine shall try the Hydro Archon at the court of justice. Yes, it refers...
I think I'm following now. So, what you're saying is, in truth, everything we've done has happened exactly as the prophecy foretold.
What should we do?
Huh.
If that's the case...
Traveler, I would like to point out another about the fourth slate. However, as for the root cause of the catastrophe... This eruption was just a small warning of the things to come.
That doesn't sound quite right. That doesn't sound quite right. Let's think about this. That doesn't sound quite right. Let's think about this some more.
It was both dream and reality.
If we're talking about a true culprit...
The truth, the original sin, the truth.
So we've met it at last. I understand very well why it has chosen to make an appearance here. That whale does not belong to Tevat. It is a monster that has traversed the stars, weeping all the while. It has been greedily consuming the energy from the... And once it has finished consuming all of the energy contained within the sea, its next...
You said that when the Hydro Archon first created Fontanians out of Oceanids, she filled their blood vessels...
Precisely. That whale finds the blood of Fontanians nigh impossible to resist. Therefore, when it left the Primordial Sea, it decided to make its next...
We just barely managed to push it back.
That is correct. Indeed, it is more accurate to say that we should thank that Harbinger for buying us some time. Without him, the whale would have likely come onto land far sooner. From the way he looked, he must have been fighting the creature for quite a long time.
That battle maniac. We've always known that he had a special connection with that whale, but we definitely didn't expect it to help us out like this. Anyway, now that we know that this whale is the actual cause of the disaster recorded in the prophecy, all we need to do to stop the prophecy would be to find a way to beat it up, right?
It is too late. It had already absorbed too much of the Primordial Sea's energy before we could notice it. At this point, it has become practically integrated with the sea itself. Even if the entirety of Tevat were to be destroyed, it could still survive and swim off towards some other world.
That's not something We've already done everything we can, and we even found the true culprit. We've come so far. You can't just tell me that the last hurdle is some impossible foe. That's just not fair.
Indeed, that's not how a grand performance should end.
I'll fight it to the end, no matter what.
So the prophecy will be fulfilled no matter what, huh?
The prophecy. Just as ultimate.
What's happening with the Oratrice?
I believe it is preparing to carry out the death sentence.
Furina! No, I still need answers.
You...
Sorry. That shocked expression on your face is just...
You are not Furina.
Ah, the sweet sound of bewilderment. Marvelous. A sure sign that my attempt to deceive everyone was a resounding success. But to answer your question...
Fusalo.
Oh, that wasn't my goal, of course. Goodness, no. But I had to fool everyone else, too. If I was to stand any the heavenly principle.
Deceiving the heaven?
It's all because of that pernicious prophecy. Dreadful, wasn't it? Everyone doomed to dissolve. One was not amused. In fact, one was positively bemused when that problem was thrust upon me by my dearest predecessor. That's the former Hydro Archon Egeria, for the uninitiated. It hardly gets more disastrous than a preordained. She knew full well that the prophecy would surely come. And as one of the seven, she also knew full well that one defies the heavenly principles. So yes, as you have no doubt surmised, it was a rather impossible situation that I found. I spent a terribly long time mulling it over, alone on the ocean floor. And I was almost growing barnacles by the time I had to outwit the heavenly principles, allow the prophecy to be fulfilled, ostensibly at least, while saying, I'm a genius, I know. I can only assume that's why Egeria chose, although, looking back now, it was hardly the inheritance one dreams of. Between the But one can only play the hand one is dealt. I did not choose this, any more than I chose.
So you were also once one of the Oceanids, transformed into a human by each.
Yes, I was. I always dreamed of becoming human. And I still do, even now. In my eye, after becoming a god, I separated my divinity from my body and spirit, leaving behind only a self that was as naive and bewildered as my past self on her first day as a human being. The me you see before you now is that divinity. And the human counterpart I left behind, she could feel joy, sorrow, and everything in between. She could be as vain and conceited, or as meek. Her strengths were of a kind only a human could possess. But in my eyes, Furina's humanity was what made her perfect. She was perfectly human. Anyway, so then I cursed her. All part of the plan, of course. The plan to deceive that. Do you still remember the final scene of the prophecy? The Hydra Archon. In order that the prophecy might appear fulfilled, I invited Furina to be an actress. Under the curse I placed on her, so long as I, Focalor's divinity, continued to exist, she could not die. But nor was she free to live her life in the Instead, she was forced to take the stage in the opera house, to embrace the role of leading lady, to forever play the part of the god from the prophecy, all to create a I suppose now you probably understand why you're—
But Furina is only human. Even though she has had a long life, her mind is no stronger than that of any other. I cannot begin to fathom what she has had to endure.
It has indeed. And although it's been 500 years, and all along, she's been playing her part in the most unimaginably long, unbearably lonely.
Oh? Who permitted you to come onto this stage? All right. It is not my intent to reprimand you. There is no need. I am our audience. The performance is experiencing a technical difficulty, but worry not. The guards shall resolve it soon enough.
Transfixed! Everlasting as the moon! Overruled!
Hey, what gives? The audience is still watching me, you know. Guards? Wait, where are the guards? Guards! Incoming.
Silence!
Laid bare.
Cut to the chase.
Settle down!
Furina.
Huh? Who's that? Who's calling me? Where are you?
Be not nervous. Be not afraid.
Wait a moment. You're... Mirror me? Mirror me.
The prophecy.
What prophecy? The people will...
Oh, very good. You know it well.
What's going on? I can't seem to remember anything clearly. The only thing I know for sure is this prophecy. Will it really come to pass?
Yes, it will. And that is why I've come to you. Disaster will come to Fontaine sooner or later. Things will develop just as the prophecy declared. There is no escaping it.
But doesn't that mean everyone will die? I'm a Fontainian just like them. Will I dissolve too?
Oh, don't worry. Magical meetings exist in this world precisely to give people a chance to turn things around. It is the reason why you met me today. I will tell you how to save everyone, but you may have to suffer somewhat.
Oh, so there's still hope after all. Goodness, you frightened me. You spoke so much and with so much certainty. As for the suffering, well, I will admit that the first thing that came to mind was, why do I have to be the one to suffer? But if the prophecy will come true, I'll also die anyway, right? So if I've already met you as my magical meeting in this world, if there were scales, with all the people of Fontaine on one side and my pain on the other, is it not obvious where the scales should tilt?
You truly are the perfect human. My ideal. I suppose this would also be the justice that belongs to you.
Huh?
Don't worry, it's nothing. Listen well. Fontaine has just lost its Hydro Archon. I need you to play a role. That of the new Archon.
Play as a god?
That's right. You must begin a never-ending masquerade. You must never let anyone suspect your identity. If you can keep it up, then I shall have my way of defying this prophecy. But should your identity be revealed, then all hope will be lost.
But how will I do this? A human assuming the role of a god without being exposed.
Don't worry. What you must do is not to turn yourself into a real god. You simply need to play the role of a god as humans imagine them to be. Being a human yourself, I'm sure you already know what such an entity would be like. Remember, your true challenge will not be pursuing divinity, but contending against humanity.
I'm still not sure I understand, but I'll try. I'll try to do this. So, how long am I going to have to play this role?
To accomplish this mission, you will have to stay on the stage for many, many years. You will endure and not grow old until your task ends. But I promise you, all will eventually end in a magnificent and dramatic trial, and everyone will be saved.
A trial, huh? How exciting. I'll be looking forward to it. The Maison. What should I say to most... I'm sure you've all heard about... In truth, I know little about becoming an... As the god Focalor. Once again, this... I thought I might stammer.
That's the new Hydro Archon. Is this some kind of joke by the Maison? I would have thought that a being that surpasses...
Hey, did you hear that? She even told us to send her
Shouldn't gods be all-powerful? She's being so... modest. What?
If you ask me, perhaps the succession didn't actually happen.
Wait, what's going on? Why is everyone suspecting me of being a fake? Oh, this is bad. Right. Calm down, Furina. Assertive. wondering if some weak what you may consider. Now then!
Ah, so that was just a performance. How could I have forgotten that we were inside an opera house?
Her personality. It's quite shocking, to be honest, but I suppose it's a better look than before.
Such a fascinating and bold deity. How wonderful! Our future may yet be bright after all.
It seems I've turned them around. My dear people, whether you acknowledge me or not, whether you trust me or nay, I say to you, we have heard it said that this nation sins the scales of may law be the prayer on our lips. May judgment be our worst. No, this won't work. They'll suspect me again. I must play the role that they... There is no... So long as I...
Lady Furina, here are today's case reports, as well as a summary of the follow-up for your perusal.
Come now. Was I not just at the Opera House in person? Leave these kinds of things to... Besides...
If...
A
That's true,
No need for fright. And do not take what I said before too seriously. Go now.
Lady Furina.
No need to All right.
You remember his...
Lady Furina.
I see. It's as I thought that all manner of... Really?
I'm...
The day is finally... But it's good to see maybe this is fine.
Lady Furina, here are the new trial reports.
They'll be...
Lady Furina.
Indeed, my...
Lady Furina, we're detecting significant...
Understood. I feel utterly...
Lady Furina, I've heard that the first... Are you crying?
This must be the overflow of hydro from my person. Well, can't quite help being the god. So, in hundreds, I never imagined. Have I reached my limit? I
want to tell I've conducted so many investigations across the centuries. All I can do is keep heart.
Furina, you don't have to shoulder this burden alone. Although I don't know what you might be keeping from everyone, your people are more than willing to share your burden with you.
Share. That's impossible.
But even if your just share it with a witness.
And if to that... She's right. But if things... No, Furina. But what if, Furina, is it such if you let this think about it long and hard? No, all you need to do, dear spectator, is...
Fine.
So even Furina...
Yes, she did very well. If she had let her... It seems that trusting
I believe that... How would you build on...
Ah, good, good. Of course the Eudex of Fontaine has... I'm sure you've lost...
I've always suspected that it had its own consciousness. And Linny did mention that he heard a It now seems that that person was you. Hidden within the machine all along.
And then I became one with the Oratories, taking Fontaine's gnosis with me. Yes. Alas, your understanding of this device still... In truth, it is no enactor of justice. It is, in fact, a Oh, you have it. And to be more precise, not only will the Oratories take down the God of Justice, it will also take down the Divine Throne. I mean... Did you think I would be the sort to enjoy peaceful repose while Furina suffered? My work over these last 500 years has been to constantly accumulate indemnitium with... But really, some have already discovered that only a small fraction of the energy generated by the device was... The vast majority had to be accumulated.
It was all a part of your plan then?
Indeed. This power, accrued over 5 centuries, could have sustained Fontainians for millennia, had it only been used for that purpose. But only power of this magnitude could hope to destroy the Hydro...
So the Oratrice's call for death was for neither Furina nor Focalor, but for the destruction of that divine throne. If I do not misunderstand your intent...
Returning what's rightfully yours to you. In other words, this was all done to return the authority of the Hydro Archon to the Hydro Dragon of this planet.
But...
Oh, what? Getting sad again. The authority of the ancient dragons shall soon be yours once more.
All you've done throughout the years is just so you can sacrifice yourself at the very...
I've never quite seen it that way, you know. Hydro Dragon, I must say, had it been within my rights, I would have loved to judge the heavenly principles themselves. Were they not guilty? Egeria stole the power of the primordial sea. And that I, for my part, am the god of justice. And is it not just that your original powers should be... Speaking of justice, I have always believed that So, if the theft of the primordial sea's might was Fontaine's then Leaving matters of procedural right and wrong aside, the descent of the Fontainians as humans and their right to exist in this world. In other words, existence was Egeria's justice, and to me, justifying the prophecy and ensuring that Fontaine's people shall live on. That, at this point, we, whether it be myself or all other Fontainians, Iudex Neuvillette, the highest judge in our land, when you regain your full power as an elemental sovereign, what verdict?
So when I was invited to the court of Fontaine to serve as Iudex, I see now that at last, I now understand. In the beginning, I was uninterested in human existence. But these 5 centuries of living alongside them have gradually brought about mutual understanding. You are a devious one, Focalors. Things being as they are, surely you know that I could never declare them to be guilty.
The hour of my execution is almost here. For the sinner, the curtain call has come. I know I may not sound it, but faced with death, I find myself a little afraid. Perhaps this is one thing both gods and humans have in common. Farewell, Neuvillette. I hope you've enjoyed the part you played these 500 years.
I, Iudex Neuvillette, hereby declare, people of Fontaine, your sins are forgiven.
What just happened? Has the death sentence been carried out?
Was that bright light some sort of misdirection? I have a feeling that something huge just happened.
But...
It's time to end this. I have gained this. We should seize the opportunity to Traveler. Now that the oratory, the root of the calamities, come with me, Traveler. The hour. I've already done my best to separate the power of the primordials from the way. Considering the size of the beast, I cannot reach the power source. Unless we can find a way to attack it from within. I shall share a part of the ancient dragon's power with you. We shall look for an opening together. Can feel its sorrow turning into hostility. The all-devouring narwhal cannot resist its instinct to devour. Continue to trigger its hostility. Chance will present itself.
Why is there a hole-looking thingy over there? Very scary!
Speed of light! Hey! A little amuse-bouche! I can...
Manifest the authority of the ancient dragons. Witness them. I have granted you my protection. Do not fear. Seize the moment and use my power to suppress its root from within. Bow yourself.
Adaptive frosting! Goose on the loose! Don't blink! With sword comes shadow. Incoming! Hey!
Witness my rise. Laid bare.
Settle down. Let the mighty be humble.
Thanks for helping with the cleanup. It was just supposed to be... Well, actually, I had a feeling that it would happen.
That power.
It's just that he is the...
I simply didn't. So you may speak to me as equals. I have to agree. That kind of power is... All in all... The point...
Well, being... So what sort of...
Oh, right. His name is Sertologi.
I am
Huh. So Master is insufficiently famous.
the foul.
Still not...
Ooh, that will...
Oh, but I suppose you want...
Wait!
Actually, never... That they all devour such roiling as such. In other words...
What?
Not to worry.
In the end, the people will all be dissolved into the waters, and only Furina will remain, weeping on her throne. Only then will the sins of the people of Fontaine be washed away.
Scans initiate emergency rescue! Hurry!
Hey, lend a hand!
Look! The water's receding!
It's a miracle!
Water's receding.
We didn't dissolve. The prophecy was wrong. The prophecy was wrong.
Are you alright?
We're saved. The prophecy was wrong.
The soil renewed. The Furina di Rasula talks post-disaster rebuilding. I recently visited Poisson to meet with Miss Navia, spokesperson of Old Soil Skyship Wing. The various disputes people always call. Wow, Paimon barely recognizes the people in the.
What do you think? Pretty enthralling, huh? The value for these big scoop Edwin's assistant, Jurier
Paimon's curious.
And that's exactly what.
Are you?
Oh, this time